Explain the violence in the West Bank preceding October 7th. And his answer is a breakaway group from the Palestinian Authority called the Lions are responsible for many terrorist attacks from Jerusalem to the West Bank and through the West Bank. I don't know if that's true or not. I have to research that. Okay.
And the IDF was going in and making operational decisions to kill many terrorists in these areas. There are many areas in the West Bank that have been particularly infiltrated by terrorism.
Or did he say Lions Den, not the Lions?
The city of Jenin would be probably the example of the place that has been most infiltrated by terror groups. It's unfortunate, but Hamas is not the only terror group in the region. Palestinian Islamic Jihad is an excellent example of another terrorist group that has wide presence in the West Bank, more so actually than Hamas.
Let's see. Islamic Jihad is a terrorist group with wide presence in the West Bank.
Palestinian Islamic Jihad rocket, obviously, that fell on that Gaza hospital, the entire world then tried to blame on Israel.
Okay. I'm not allowed to respond, right?
Oh, wait, he did say the Lions. Wait, did he? Then why the f is everybody saying Lions Den? Maybe he was just wrong? Okay.
Our world then tried to blame on Israel.
Okay. I'm not allowed to respond, right?
Okay. So this was an interesting response. He said Lions, but corrected himself. I remember the name from the Boner Box video. Oh, okay, whatever. So he doesn't actually directly deal with at all any type of violence from settlers or the IDF, I guess. So that's kind of his response. I guess questions I would have here would be does Shapiro, do I call him Shapiro, Ben, or Ben Shapiro? Does Shapiro believe all violence in the West Bank against Palestinians? Hold on. Hello? Is it always while targeting a terror cell? Does Shapiro believe the IDF ever commits, would it be indiscriminate or unjustified violence against Palestinians in the West Bank? Does Shapiro believe in unjustified settler violence against Palestinians in the West Bank? I'm pretty sure I can fight on all three of these points. I'm just curious.
Right? Okay. So if your entire argument, once again, is predicated on terror groups, what response do you have about the Great March of Return, which is a very well-documented incident where peacefully...
the Great March of Return. Fuck, well, I gotta organize food between everybody. Jesus, I'm sorry, one sec. Jesus Christ.
Palestinian civilians just marched to their own land that they have a right to go and return to, but they were killed, shot at, and murdered in cold blood.
What year are we talking about? Which group are we talking about? I need more.
Oh, he doesn't know exactly about this incident. Oh, so this will be interesting hearing him respond to this. So what do you think about IDF enacted violence against the March of Return? I think is what she's talking about. Ben isn't familiar. I don't know if I need to write every single call and response, but...
More specificity.
I'm talking about the Great March of Return.
I know I'm asking for more specificity because I'm unaware of all the details of what you're speaking about.
So the Great March of Return, very specifically, I believe, refers to the 2018 protest here. This is probably what she's speaking about, I would say. There are multiple March of Returns. The most famous one? Oh, whenever I've heard the Great March of Return, usually it's in reference to this one here. You're telling me there are multiple Great Marches of Return? Is that possible? Okay, I don't think you're right, but maybe. There might have been multiple marches, but I'm pretty sure when we say the Great March of Return, I'm pretty sure we're talking about this one. But we'll see. Actually, should I create a separate article for this? No, I shouldn't. Hold on. Lion's Den, Control F, militant group, a Palestinian militant group operating in the West Bank. This group emerged in August of 2022. Jesus. Organization was founded by a 25-year-old Palestinian. Christ. Okay. And the group received undisclosed amounts of funds from Hamas. Interesting. All right.
Great March of Return.
For more specificity, because I'm unaware of all the details of what you're speaking about.
So the Great March of Return is a well-documented instance where many Palestinians, after a tweet by a Palestinian, encouraged other Palestinians to go march peacefully back to their land.
Which land is theirs? What are we talking about?
They're talking about from marching from Gaza to Israel because that's their land. All of Israel. From the river to the sea.
Occupied Palestine.
Are you talking about in proper Israel? Where are we talking about? Like which areas?
We're talking about on the borders of Palestine, and we're also talking about their right to return.
The borders of the Gaza Strip, right? That's what she's talking about. Is she aware of that? It's the borders of the Gaza Strip. That's where they were marching from, right?
There is no right to return. If you're talking about in Palestine, if you're talking about the land that is inside the 67 borders, there is no right of return to Haifa. There's no right of return to Tel Aviv. There's no right of return to West Jerusalem.
So you have to remember.
We're getting super sidetracked. I don't know. Does she not know what she's talking about? Or I'm very confused by the summary of that. I'm super confused by her summary of the March of Return. But okay, but now we're talking about right of return, I guess.
That there.
I think Ben probably knows what's playing dumb to make her trip up. I don't know. He might not know. It's possible that he lives in America, right? I don't know if he knows about every single Palestinian event or every single Gaza event. I think the point is that she doesn't. Or I don't know. Okay.
Tel Aviv, there's no right of return to West Jerusalem.
So you have to remember that there are many, many, many elders who are older than the state of Israel. You have to remember that Palestine is not a Muslim land. You are equating this to a religious conflict. It's not.
Do you think there are parts that are edited from this? Because this is like a totally random clip, or this is like a really random pivot, but okay.
When Palestine, before it was occupied, you had Jews, Christians, and Muslims peacefully coexisting. Palestine is not a Muslim homeland. It's a land that existed where many people that are alive to this day are older than the state of Israel.
So are you making the argument that any population of any time, all of their descendants now have a right to go back to the place that their great-great-great-great-great-grandfathers went?
Not great-great-great-grandfathers. We have grandmothers.
Okay, grandmothers, grandfathers. Is that the idea that you can walk across the lines of any sovereign state and simply claim the place that you said that you had, even though you never established property rights in, say, the Jordanian West Bank, or you abandon this place in Haifa? So your claim is that right now people get to walk across the border of a sovereign nation and simply set up shop in Haifa? This is your claim?
Okay.
So if you're, okay,
Good one,
so
Chief.
even if you were to buy what you're saying, which is obviously not true, I encourage you to Google about the Great March of Return, which was a peaceful resistance against a wrongful occupation of Palestine. Even if you were to buy what you were
Can you just...
I'm getting triggered because I don't think she actually knows what this is. I feel like she Googled this or she got a headline from a tweet called The Great March of Return and she doesn't actually know anything about the event. It's actually incredibly triggering. I don't know. It feels like, because if she wanted to, if she knew anything about it, she could probably beat him up a little bit over the event, right? She would be able to say that over 200 Palestinians on the ground were shot and killed by IDF people that were on the fence. She could try to make the argument that the majority of the protesters were peaceful. She could probably try to make the argument that the UN investigated all of these deaths. When the UN investigated the shootings, so the IDF claimed that the march was incredibly violent because there were people throwing over incendiary balloons, throwing over Molotov cocktails, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. When the UN did their investigation of the IDF shootings of the people on the ground, the UN concluded of the 200 plus deaths, only one of them were like militarily justified or represented a significant threat, right? But it sounds like she's not aware of any of this, so she can't make any actual appeal to the fact of the matter. She just said a thing, and I don't understand. Yeah. all of these students are at Oxford, right? This is like an Ivy League school. These should be very, very, very smart people. The fact that she doesn't specify that it was one in 2018, 2019, yeah, I don't understand why she doesn't seem to have any information about this event. It's her event to bring up. But now she's like backed away from that argument because she doesn't know anything about this at all, I think. Yeah, I don't understand at all why she would do this, but okay.
Against the wrongful occupation of Palestine, even if you were to buy what you were
Can you just define wrong